Alice LaPlante, whose work we also now own all the rights to because she's been here before, is an award-winning writer of fiction and nonfiction. She teaches creative writing at Stanford, where she was awarded a Wallace Stegner Fellowship and held a Jones Lectureship, and in the MFA program at San Francisco State. Aha. You're busted, whoever that was. Her fiction has been published in numerous literary journals and won a Transatlantic Review Prize. She's the author of 6 books, including creative writing textbooks, The Making of a Story, which I think we have some of those here, and Method and Madness, both published by Norton, and the novels Turn of Mind and Circle of Wives, which was published earlier this year. That's the one you're reading from? Great, please welcome Alice LaPlante.
Hi, and thanks for having me back here. I always love reading for Peninsula Literary Series. Tonight I'm going to be reading from my novel that's coming out in the next spring of 2015. It's called Coming of Age at the End of Days, and it's a coming-of-age story not for young adults, about a young woman who becomes enamored with a doomsday cult after a family moves in next door to her, who believes that the world is about to come to an end, and she becomes very enraptured by that thought. I'm going to read from about a third of the way into the book. I'll give you a little bit of setup and tell you who you'll be hearing from in this little section. In the first part of the book, Anna, the main character, who's 17 years old, is, like I said, she's fallen into a depression in her junior year of high school, and her parents don't know what to do about it, and then this new family moves in next door, and they kind of give her this jolt she needs to get out of the depression, but to her parents' dismay, she falls into this doomsday church, into believing in this doomsday church, and her parents are not religious at all, and all of a sudden they have this kind of religious nutcase on their hands. Right when the first section of the book ends, Anna's parents are both killed in an automobile accident. So that I'm reading the section directly after that, and you're going to hear from Anna. You're going to hear a little bit about Anna's mother's best friend, Martha. There's going to be a little section with Jim Folson, who's this boy who's about 7 years older than Anna, who lives across the street. This takes place in Sunnyvale, California. He went off to UCLA after an illustrious football career in high school and came back in kind of disgrace and in mystery, and he lives in his parents' rec room, and nobody really knows what happened. Anna's always had a crush on him, but he's dating one of her teachers. So that's the setup. And the only other person you need to know are the neighbors, the Goldschmidts, and there's a boy Anna's age named Lars who's in that family. Fact: Anna's father had been driving too fast, but was the light already red? Witnesses disagree. That the other vehicle, a delivery truck, had barreled full speed down Page Mill Road and roared into the intersection at El Camino at more than 50 miles an hour is another fact. Did the truck driver have the green light, or was he anticipating it? Whatever the truth, the driver of the truck also died instantly. Christ have mercy. Anna's Aunt Ginny and Uncle Bob fly in from Columbus, but because the will is simple and clear, Anna's father was a lawyer after all, they have little to do. It is impossible to display the ribbons of flesh and splintered bone as a result of the crash, so cremation is the only option, and Anna's aunt and uncle are at least able to take action without dithering on that point. None of Aunt Jenny's and Uncle Bob's other decisions are wise ones. As Anna's parents lacked connections to any church, her relatives opt to hold a memorial service at the house, catered by a delicatessen known locally as the Rat Trap. Her aunt can't even order provisions correctly. "We'll have ham," she says into the phone. "No turkey. 4 pounds. No, 6 pounds. She posts the wrong time for the gathering in the Sunnyvale Times, and when guests start showing up 2 hours before expected, she panics and simply points to the living room. She then escapes to the kitchen without introducing herself or offering food or drink. Anna's mother had been equally shy, but possessed far more social bravado. She may have quaked inside, but Anna's mother would have pulled the situation off with aplomb. A magnificent deceiver always. Anna watches from the top of the stairs. The initial awkwardness of a hostessless gathering doesn't last long. 3 neighborhood husbands disappear and 20 minutes later burst in through the front door carrying provisions, potato chips and pretzels and half a dozen extra-large pepperoni pizzas. 4 cases of microbrewery beer appear on the dining room table. These are quickly depleted and replaced by a keg of Coors, bottles of vodka and whiskey and tequila. Anna is not crying. Anna is not sad. Anna is carefully tracking the number of hours since her parents left the earth. 36, 37, 40. She frets over the passing of each minute, believing that time matters, that the longer they are gone, the less chance she has of getting them back. Insane thinking. Anna is insane, acting as if her parents are trapped underwater. She knows she only has so much time to rescue them. 4 to 6 minutes before brain damage, 10 minutes before they lose consciousness, 15 before they die. That first night, she comforted herself with the thought that it had only been 3 hours, just 4 hours. There was still hope. As the night stretched on, the idea came to her that if she just said the right thing and acted the right way and believed enough, he, capital H, would permit them to return to her. Her responsibility is to have faith. Grieving is out of the question. She is too busy willing them back to life. By 7 p.m., a surprisingly large, surprisingly affable crowd is milling through Anna's house. After finishing the food, everyone is settling in for a night of hard drinking. No one appears to be thinking of leaving, not out of a sense of guilt or pity or neighborly duty, but because they are actually enjoying themselves. One of her father's Parkfield earthquake buddies is flirting with a Baroque flutist friend of her mother's. The chair of the music department at the college where her mother was the on-call piano technician is laughing with her father's administrative assistant, a malnourished young man Anna's father had infected with his earthquake mania. Even the older neighbors are mingling, talking directly to each other. A strange sight. So pervasive is the joie de vivre that the old guard is actually speaking to the younger set. Anna is under siege. Hands reach out to reverently touch her shoulders, arms, back as she wanders through the rooms. You'd think her nearness to tragedy bestowed sacred powers, that her garments were holy relics. But she refuses all direct and indirect offers of solace. To every apology, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," she is silent. No one can make her speak a word. She just watches the clock. She has reshaved her head. Early on in her conversion, she shaved her head, freaking out her parents even more. She has reshaped her head. Eschewing color, she's wearing a pair of her mother's white capris and one of her father's white cotton work shirts. She has neither shoes nor socks on. She keeps her arms folded across her chest. She tries not to listen to the blasphemous chatter. "Your parents are in a better place." They are not. "They were good parents. They loved you." yes, too good and too much, but sinners just the same. To believe is essential. For less than 2 days ago, Anna thought she still had time to wean her parents from their earthly concerns, to help them see the truth, channel their energies towards more appropriately towards him. The stakes were so very high. Now they've been cast naked into the abyss, unprotected. And when the unholy dead are reanimated, when the foul ranks arise and take up weapons against believers, Anna's mother and father will now be among them. When Anna soon battles the abominations to come, she will be smiting her own flesh. Anna leans against her mother's piano. Her head aches. She hasn't seen Lars, not since. Everything around her she taints. Anna. Martha, her mother's best friend, is suddenly at Anna's side. Anna doesn't know which unlucky person told Martha about the accident. Did Martha receive a call, or was she alarmed by the silence? She and Anna's mother spoke 3 or 4 times a day and reached out herself only to find out. All Anna knew was that Martha had appeared at the house yesterday morning, nearly assaulting the woman from Child Protective Services. She'd strode across the living room, stopping in front of the couch where Anna sat. At first, they just looked at each other. They'd never been close. Too much jealousy, too many disputes over territorial rights to her mother's time and attention. Martha had stared at Anna, then around the room as if expecting her mother to appear. Her eyes fell on the piano before she left the room without saying a word. Today, Martha exhibits no emotion. Like Anna, she does not appear to be grieving. She reaches her arms around Anna's shoulders, supporting Anna's full weight with no apparent effort. Without her help, Anna would have fallen. She hadn't realized she was so weak. Anna reaches back and feels for the piano, finds it, and manages to pull herself free from Martha. She discovers she can stand on her own. Martha steps away. Anna feels gratitude for her sensitivity. "I like the look," Martha says, gesturing to Anna's flowing white clothes. Anna is the recipient of one of Martha's rare smiles. Martha is radiant in her grief. Anna understands, not for the first time, why her mother loved her. They stand in silence, but Anna is not uncomfortable. People are giving them space, pretending to ignore them. Usually verbally adept, Martha appears to be searching for something to say. "Tell me about your God," she says. It comes out clumsily. Several nearby neighbors stop talking to listen. "Yours too," Anna says. She motions around the room. "Theirs too." "Perhaps, but let's take a pass on that particular discussion for now," Martha says. Anna feels patronized, and a tremendous anger she's been holding at bay breaks through. "What do you want to know?" she manages to ask. Her voice is full of contempt. More people around them lean in. Is she a merciful God? Something Anna's mother and Martha shared, this refusal to use a masculine pronoun when referring to him. "Why?" Anna asks. She's under no illusion that Martha is genuinely interested. Martha's heart, like Anna's parents', is utterly closed. She'll only attempt to manipulate Anna using words. This is so akin to what Anna's mother would do that Anna's heart is suddenly pierced. She looks at her watch and starts trembling again. More time has passed, too much time. Outside, the sun is long gone. Anna can see a pale sliver of moon out the window. Her parents are slipping away. Martha takes a step forward and places her hand on Anna's shoulder, but Anna pushes her off. She inhales deeply. "Why?" Anna repeats. "What does merciful have to do with anything?" "I was simply wondering, if you can't cut yourself any slack, perhaps she will," Martha asks. A small circle has opened up in the crowd with Martha and Anna in the middle. Anna's contemptuous. Her anger makes it almost impossible to speak. Finally, she forces some words through her lips. "They are beyond mercy," she says. "They chose their path. Now they must reap the consequences." Someone behind Anna gives out a little whistle. They? Martha asks. She's standing straight, her hand flat on Anna's mother's piano, as if seeking sustenance from it. Do you mean your parents? Anna repeats to Martha the words she'd written on her parents' mirror the previous night with permanent marker. This is a quote. For my Lord is avenging and wrathful. He takes vengeance in his adversaries and will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. Her voice is louder than she intends, but that is of no importance. More words are coming, terrible words. Martha takes a step back. She's amongst the crowd now, circling Anna. All conversation in the room falls away. Anna, Martha said. Anna, darling, you can't possibly mean that. We're talking about your parents, not some abstract religious theory. You're right, Anna says. There's nothing abstract about this. Another quote. For his rage blazes forth like fire, she says, and she means to be heard by everyone in the room. And the mountains crumble to dust in his presence. You will have no descendants to bear your name, and he will prepare your grave, for you are vile. Utter silence. Anna looks around. Some concern, some disapproval, some amusement. Mostly people have their polite faces on as if listening to the rant of an unhinged street preacher. Only one face comforts Anna, her neighbor, Mrs. Goldschmidt. She is standing in the corner with her husband. They are not drinking or even holding cups. Anna doubts they have spoken to anyone. Mrs. Goldschmidt's face, always pale, is almost white in the fading sunlight. Her expression blissful. She keeps her eyes on Anna and nods. Her eyes are folded quietly in her lap, but as Anna watches, she unclasps them. Slowly she raises her right hand several inches in the air. She makes a sort of gesture, a circle, a half wave, before lowering it again to her lap. She then nods once more. Anna finds she can breathe again. People resume their conversations, but more quietly. Many continue to glance over at Anna and Martha. A dim-witted software engineer from Anna's father's company leans in and wiggles his fingers to get her attention. Your faith must be a great comfort to you, he says. Sometimes it is, Anna says, sometimes less so. Martha raises a warning hand to the man. She managed another one of her smiles for Anna. Little man, she says, and there's great affection in her voice. Call me when you need me. She moves away without attempting to touch Anna again. Hands reach out and pat Martha on her back as she passes. Anna, this time a voice behind her, this time a man's, and too close. Anna prepares for another attempted embrace, stiffens her shoulders and arms to make it as uncomfortable as possible for whoever it is. Then she sees it's Jim Folsom. This is the boy who lives across the street. And next to him, Lars, that's her neighbor. Lars, as Hannah has never seen him, a frightened Lars at a loss. He looks even smaller than usual. He glances everywhere except at Anna. Jim Folsom speaks again. He says the first sensible thing Anna has heard all day. You need to eat. He holds out a plate with a pepperoni pizza on it, some carrot sticks. Anna realizes she is hungry and takes the plate. Lars and Jim Folsom watch her wolf down the food. Then Jim Folsom says another sensible thing. Go get your running things on. I'll wait for you outside. When Anna hesitates, he gives her a little push. That's right, come on, says Jim Folsom. In 10 minutes, Anna is out in front of the house in her sweats. Jim Folsom is already there, stretching. Anna follows his example, reaches down and extends her right leg, then her left. Okay, he says, let's do it, and they take off. Anna feels lighter the farther they get from the house, and by the time they reach Caribbean Drive, she's fallen into her usual rhythm. How uncomfortable is that hair shirt under there, he asks, reaching out and tugging at Anna's orange shark sweatshirt. What would you know about that, Anna asks. She doesn't look at him, but concentrates on putting one foot in front of the other without stepping on any breaks in the cement. Step on a crack, break your mother's back. Then she remembers that's no longer a problem. I've been talking to Lars, trying to understand how your faith would affect how you deal with this, Jim Folsom says. He pauses to give Anna a chance to respond, but she just keeps watching her feet as they pound the cement. Right, left, left. So he continues. I'm not going to tell you what I believe in the hope it may comfort you, he said. I doubt it would comfort anybody, but I am going to tell you to stop being so goddamned arrogant. Arrogant? Anna stumbles. She had expected gentleness, perhaps a clumsy attempt to provide solace, and had armed herself against it, was prepared to attack. She hadn't expected to be attacked herself. Yes, he said, thinking of yourself as some all-important being, as someone who is so special that God selected you to make an example of. I notice he didn't smite you personally, but instead chose to teach you a lesson by killing innocent bystanders. Not so innocent, Anna almost breaks down as she says this. Her steps falter. Her breathing gets more labored. She thinks of her mother stroking the piano keys, of her father, the way he'd look at her mother when he thought no one was paying attention, how deeply childlike their slumber was at night. It was a family joke that nobody could rouse them after 10 p.m., how cheerfully they greeted the day, like people with clear consciousness, like people with nothing to fear. Aren't you being a little narcissistic? Anna is growing angry. Like her father, when she gets mad, she goes faster. She accelerates until Jim Folsom finally falls behind. Prick, she says over her shoulder. She's straining so hard she can barely force the words out. He laughs and seemingly effortlessly catches up to Anna. That I am, he says. Anna clenches her teeth and runs on, refusing to look at him. They're near the high school now. It's growing dark, but cars are still in the parking lot. Anna had forgotten that for most people it was a day just like any other, coaches and athletes finishing practice and teachers going home. Both Jim Folsom and Anna see Ms. Thaddeus at the same time. She's getting into her car, one haunch already on the seat, when Jim Folsom calls out, "Clara!" She turns too quickly upon hearing his voice, and although she doesn't exactly smile, it's as if the sun has risen. Then she sees Anna, and the light is swiftly tamped down. She gets out of the car and practically runs towards them, stumbling a little in her heels. "Anna," she says, "Annie," and holds out her arms. Anna goes straight into them. She is so tall and Ms. Thaddeus so diminutive that Ms. Thaddeus's head rests on Anna's shoulder as if she is the one requiring comfort. But Anna feels Ms. Thaddeus's body warmth even through her thick cotton layers, and with it such an outpouring of kindness that she is utterly humbled, for it is more than a sinner like Anna deserves. By the grace of God only she is able to accept it. Jim Folsom makes a point to look elsewhere. Sometime during the timeless interval, the sun sinks behind the Santa Cruz Mountains, the air turns chilly, and Anna's tears cease. She continues holding Ms. Thaddeus. Some gifts are too precious. Praise the Lord. Thank you.